A new MIT study is making the rounds in the media where it claims that the United States is now a developing country. Of course, that's not exactly what it says, and that's frankly not true. There is a growing inequality that's in the U.S. where it's creating an economy for the rich and an economy for the poor. According to an MIT professor, the middle class is disappearing. Well, that's not frankly surprising. The middle class has been disappearing since the Great Recession. Now, here's exactly what he's saying. In short, the rich got richer, the poor did not disappear, the middle class shrunk sharply. We are on our way to become a nation of the rich and poor with only a few people in the middle. Okay, so essentially what they're saying by developing country, there's a good gap between the rich and the poor. Of course, that doesn't actually make a country a developing country, but that is one of the characteristics that they generally do have. The average income of the U.S. household is still $42,000 a year, while the average global income, the average income in the third world is about less than $2 a day. So to say that these two things are somehow equal is, frankly, facetious. Now, but speaking specifically to the experience of the United States, where did the sudden great divide between rich and poor, eliminating the middle class, actually start? The low-wage sector, the FTE sector, was born in 1971 as President Richard Nixon replaced Lyndon B. Johnson's war on poverty with a new war on drugs and appointed Lewis Powell to the Supreme Court. As the war on drugs expanded in subsequent decades, it was enforced far more strongly for African Americans, than for whites, becoming the new Jim Crow, revamping and renewing the racist intent of the repressive old anti-black Jim Crow laws that followed the Reconstruction in the South. In other words, this happened right as the rise of neoliberalism took hold. Now, as global competition began to increase and the rate of profit began to fall, not just in the United States, but in other places as well, it became necessary to create a better condition for companies to raise their rate of profit. And neoliberalism was the best way to do so. Now, what can we say, or what does he have to say about the times now? The wealthiest 20% of the population had access to education, good jobs, and social networks, while the other 80% was increasingly burdened with debts, low-wage jobs, and health problems. Now, Timon has said the conditions where many poor Americans live in resemble developing countries with dilapidated housing, crumbling public infrastructure, and roads and neglected social structures. Of course, what they mean by crumbling public transportation, roads, and neglected social infrastructure is still head and shoulders above everything in the third world. This is more of the exaggeration that liberals try to give in order to push a society with a more equitable distribution of income and wealth. They do have a tendency to exaggerate how bad things are in the first world in order to forward that. They consider these to be crumbling, to be out of date, neglected roads and infrastructure, which is head and shoulders above anything in the third world, except for in the capital cities, the richest cities of the third world. What they're leaving out is that there are pockets of this, and they're actually fairly small pockets. They're exceptions to the rule, not the rule itself. America is still the wealthiest country in the entire world. Its working class is still some of the most privileged in the entire world, as I said previously with the average income. This kind of exaggeration doesn't help the case. It, however, does reinforce the idea that somehow America is turning into a third world country, and that the $42,000 a year is somehow comparable to $2 a day. I mean, this is just simply ridiculous. But that is the kind of exaggerations that you get with liberalism in order to propagandize for their position. The fact is, this is mostly not true. There are small pockets of this actually existing, and no doubt there is a shrinking middle class. But that by no means makes the United States a developing country, and it certainly does not make it a third world country. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.